So the English win the first initiative roll, and I'm trying to move them coherently, keeping the line of battle and the supports within 1 inch from each other. The problem would be the difficult ground in the center, where the Black Prince and the King, their forces are going to enter. And obviously very important is the marsh on the left flank of the English and the 3 hills that will be contested as they give extra bonuses in hand-to-hand combat. I deployed quite strong units in the center for the English, basically most of the man-at-arms, with larger longbow units to shoot the Chilterns, because the Chilterns are very powerful. Although they're very slow, they're very powerful units, and I was worried that my center could be in trouble. Now the French move and the Scottish move, the French men-at-arms in the north, as you can see, moved quicker than the Chilterns. They're probably going to take over the hill. The Chilterns move only 3 inches. If you want to move them 4 inches, you can, but as per the rules, you need to shift them either side 1 inch, and with this congested ground and the hills, the open areas between the hills, it would have been a disaster. Now both armies moved, and now the opportunity for especially the English to shoot against the mounted knights and against the Chilterns on the north. It is very important for me to reduce and deteriorate these units, especially the Chilterns would be very slow, so I will have quite a few opportunities to remove bases, because if they reach you, having also their men-at-arms, it's a combination of Scottish men-at-arms and yeomen, very powerful units, and they're large units. There are 8 bases, so I'm trying to reduce their strength, and I have opportunities because they're quite slow. At the same time, on the left of the French, the mounted knights are a very strong unit. The English are not behind stakes, so again another target for me to try and reduce. So now we roll for another initiative. The shooting didn't go very well, and it's won by the Franco Scottish. Immediately you see in the north the 2 units of French men-at-arms commanded by the Duke of Orleans take over the hill. Now this is a precarious position because they have the longbows in front of them, so they would be a target, and there won't be any hand-to-hand combat advantage. I'm not going to commit my longbows fighting the men-at-arms, but I'm worried about my flanks. I'm very worried because the French are very strong. You see already they have the crossbowmen with the pavises here in the front of the picture, who took over the other hill. And now I'm checking out if the impetuous French knights will charge impetuously due to the rule of arrogant pride. But I'm still outside movement range, and I'm going to keep it this way, because I don't want them to attack the English in a line of battle as they are, the Warwick division, and attack it without support, without any units, and they would be in trouble. So I kept the French mounted knights, although very strong unit, a bit behind. So the Chilterns move slowly, so there will be plenty of opportunity for the English to shoot them and try to reduce some bases, remove some bases, and reduce their strength. It is a very, very strong unit. Here, this gap, I will try to take advantage of this gap. There is space between the marshes, and I can move through and try to outflank the French men-at-arms, who are a bit isolated. But now I did this move, the Scottish player, that's me, did this move. I'm trying to commit the Chiltern to support the men-at-arms. The Chiltern is slow, but if I manage to align it with the men-at-arms, we can make a formidable right flank for the French, for the Franco-Scottish, and create problems for the English. Again, more shooting. I'm trying to shoot at the crossbows, and crossbows will shoot back. In general, you see the line of battle of the English is not coherent due to the difficult ground in the center. The Black Prince and the King fell behind, and this is an issue. I don't want to fight in difficult ground. And at the same time, now I'm moving my mounted knights to outflank the French. I'm not passing closer than 1 inch. 1 inch rule, it's not allowed to cross an opponent within 1 inch. And I think it's a good opportunity for me to create problems to a very, very strong Franco-Scottish flank. Now, I'm going to move the center a bit. I'm going to try and get out of this difficult ground. It is very important for me to align the units. It's very important for me to have a line of battle, especially if my longbow fire is not very good, although I have opportunities due to the movement of the Scots just 3 inches. Now again, we have some shooting, and this is a very important stage now because the Scottish, as you see, are closing. My longbowmen are 8 paces, so they're large units. In this case, I take advantage of the English archery rule of the 100 Years' War supplement, where I roll the ones. So you see here I have 4 hits, so it's quite 5 hits, quite good number, and I reroll the ones as well. So another hit, 6 hits. So this would probably the Scottish have to defend with a 4, 5, and a 6, because they have in front the Scottish men-at-arms who have partial plate armor and a shield, and they have a better defense. So you see they defended quite well. They defended almost all the hits, 1 only, so nothing happens. The Scottish continue moving. Now I have to shoot at the French men-at-arms who are at the top of the hill. This is a very dangerous situation. I believe that the English flanks are in trouble. You see, I didn't calculate well. The unit is quite isolated. It's just a longbow unit, and the men that you see, the mounted knights, who are trying to outflank the French. The initiative again is won by the English. We roll initiative after the shooting and before movement phase to see who will move first. And now I'm checking the distance. The good thing is that the French, because they are heavy troops, close-order troops, when they reach within 8 inches of your opponent, they have their move, so they move 4 inches. So they move slower, so you have opportunity to shoot. First of all, I don't have any charges, so I'm moving again the English line coherently. This is the command of the King and the Black Prince. And at the same time now, I'm moving my mounted. I was confused there. I thought I would, the children was coming closer, so I thought maybe I should have charged the children. Very bad idea. But I moved in the back of the French men-at-arms in order to be able to turn and attack them in the flanks. Now it's the turn of the Scottish to move. They move the children slowly, but they're closing. The English are in a coherent line. And I think it's going to be a very hard-fought battle. English men-at-arms are very strong. They have double-handed weapons. Children is very strong. So it's going to be interesting. Now, what's the problem here? And it's an advantage for me. I was very worried for the English flanks is that the crossbowmen, they're in good position shooting and removing bases for the English, but the gap between the Scottish childrens and the longbowman and the crossbowman, the French crossbowman, is quite smaller. It's small, it's not as wide as required, so the French knights cannot move or charge. I need to change formation. So that's an advantage for me. Now again, we're rolling for shooting. Again, I'm trying to reduce the strength of the children's. The good quality of, that's a good shoot, that's a good result, 6 possible kills, and because we are in close range, we get a +1 to the defense value of the opponent, so they have to roll 5 and a 6 in order to defend, and that would it helps me remove bases. The same happens here. I'm trying in the left flank. I'm desperate. If the French men-at-arms attack the longbowman, they will destroy the longbow unit, and the English will be in very, very big trouble. As I said, it's very important in sword point have large longbow units from 8 bases and above. They give extra firepower and they're quite strong in shooting instead of having 6, and they benefit from the English archery rule where you roll once. It's you see how the battle looks. Things are quite difficult for the English from the flanks, especially considering that my center now is moving forwards to face the children's. Now we have another initiative, and the initiative goes to the Franco Scottish. They will move the children's, again 3 inches, slowly, but they haven't had a lot of casualties. The shooting for the English was not exceptional. You've seen we discouraged the crossbowmen who are not going to move. They're going to be a target there, but also danger. They have pavises, so they have a good defense value. So when hit, needs to be, you need a lot of hits because they have the shield that reduces their defense down to a roll of 4 instead of a 6. The children are moving coherently. The children are under the Earl of Douglas and King David. Now here is the critical. I know that the children are moving very slowly, so I know they have the opportunity to do a maneuver and charge the French. That's the only chance I have, Salisbury, to charge the French. But the initiative now is with the French, so they're moving towards the English longbowmen, who will be in big trouble, very big trouble, if these units of heavy infantry, men-at-arms under the Duke, attack them. As I said before, they move only 4 inches because of the proximity rule, but this will be a disaster. But in this situation gives me the opportunity. The speed of the children allows me to turn, and the location and the position of the men-at-arms will allow me, if I win the initiative in the next round, to turn and charge the men-at-arms in the flank. How I will respond with the longbowmen. Longbowmen are open order formed infantry. They can do an about face, move half, and do a free about face. So I move back a bit so I can give a little bit of space and a little bit more time for my mounted knights to do their maneuver and try to charge them. This is my only hope. You see what's piling up on the Franco Scottish right flank. This power, if I don't manage to break the French at a point, the English are doomed. There is no defense at all for the English currently, especially now that the center of the Franco-Scottish, the children's, are moving towards my center. So I do a maneuver, I turn around my mounted knights, they can turn around, and I am in position to charge the French in the flanks. They cannot do all the move now because they turned. They did an about face, but if I get the initiative in the next round, I'm in a good position to attack the heavy infantry the French heavy infantry in the flanks. Salisbury is in the wrong position. I forgot to put him back with the mounted knights. Again, I'm not very hopeful for the English at the moment, but I think the children's are quite slow currently, so I still have some time to attack the men-at-arms with my English mounted knights. Now the English move their main army, their main division, the 4 units of men-at-arms under the King and the Black Prince. We are out of the difficult ground, that's good. We're going to move the 3 men-at-arms and the longbows to keep support, but the longbows are moving here because I want to shoot as well. Here, as I told you, I'm very lucky that this gap here cannot be, it's not wide enough for this huge unit of French mounted knights to attack, but the crossbowmen are a constant threat. They're shooting quite well, and they have also a +1 when they are in close range against any opponent, so that's quite powerful missile unit. It would be better if I had them further away and shoot from far away. Now the English will shoot at point blank, and this is very critical. We did some shooting, we were quite successful in the center, we removed some bases, but this is the critical. The English are in close range, they get a +1. It's a good opportunity now to do something, discourage at least, or inflict more than 25%, and that's very close. We have 3, 6, 7 possible hits. If the French don't defend very well, and they need a 5 and a 6 because they get a +1 modifier, that means that they will get a 25% hits from the English, and they will have to take a cohesion test. They are already disordered from the shooting, and 2 bases were removed, so that's a good, and now they have to take a cohesion test that they fail. So that means that the 1 unit of French men-at-arms breaks, and that's great shooting from the English. They manage at least to stop 1 unit of French men-at-arms. When your opponent inflicts more than 25% hits of your total strength, you're going to need to take a cohesion test. and you get disordered, and you take a cohesion test, and if you fail, you break from shooting. Now we're rolling for a cohesion again, for initiative again, and this is a victory for the English, who this is very good chance. We remove the discourage markers. It's a new phase, because the English will charge, and if you're not facing pikes, and this is not pikes where the children's long spears, if you're not facing pikes, the charging unit attack first. So there is an opportunity for the English to remove bases and enforce the Scottish to attack back with depleted die roll. So the English charge. I don't charge with my longbowmen. The longbows cannot charge without taking cohesion test, heavy infantry frontally, so I prefer to keep it in the back. And now we charge in the flanks with the mounted knights. I'm taking advantage again, as I told you, of the speed of the children. I think the children's and units like this should not be isolated. That was my mistake, but I was not expecting the children's to the French to get broken from shooting. The flank attack of the mounted knights there in the north, as you see, the French have to take a cohesion test to see if they will pass the flank attack. Now I'm pushing back my English because I lost already two bases, as you can see, and I want to go to a bit further to long range. At least the Scottish will not, the French will not get a +1 and create problems to my defense, because any hit now from the French is a kill because of the +1 modifier. Again, the center is now, we're going to see what's going to happen, because in hand-to-hand combat and sword point, with the pushbacks, things change every phase, depending on who's pushing whom, and then you have a totally different situations and balance of power. The children's are moving. As I was saying, isolated big units could become a target, especially if they're slower. So you see still they're quite further away, and we have already one unit of French men at arms destroyed. Now Bernard de Ghislaine, and what he's going to do is reforming the unit and changing formation so it can pass through the gap in order to enter the battle. It's currently doing nothing because of this gap that is not enough for it to pass. And here you see in the north, the French were charged in the flanks. The other unit of French men-at-arms was broken from very good shooting. And here, as you can see, I'm changing formation for the French in order to pass and become part of the battlefield. Now we go to the center. We're going to roll for hand-to-hand combat. The English will roll first. Maybe they will have some chance of removing bases. Already you saw some units are discouraged from shooting. They will, some units of children's, they will fight with depleted, not dice, but they will get a -1 in the combat resolution. This combat will be considered as a 1 because it's staggered, so we're going to roll dice for everybody. And then we're going to divide it to the line of battle. There are 4 children's and there are 4 units of men-at-arms. So we roll some dice. The English need to hit with a 4, 5, and a 6. And they didn't do very well in the first hand-to-hand combat against the big children. You see the children has 10 bases here, the one on the left. It pushes back the English, but what happened is the English fall back not 4 inches, because if you meet a friend while you were pushed back, you can stop exactly where you met him and create a new line of battle. Now we're fighting in the center. Nothing happened. It was balanced. Nobody pushed anybody. And now here is where things changed, as I told you. It was a very difficult situation for the English. They were piling up the forces, the Franco Scottish, but a very good shooting from the English longbows and a very quick flank attack from the English mounted knights forced the French to break. And now they're fleeing. We're doing the fleeing move. This is the compulsory move stage, and we're doing the fleeing move. In the initial stage, we need to roll and see if the Scottish will be affected by friendly units fleeing 4 inches from them or closer. So we continue the battle here in the center. You see the English were pushed on their left with, these are the men at arms of Warwick, but the center, the king and the King of England, the King of Scotland and Douglas and the Black Prince are locked in melee. Again, I'm trying to bring my mounted knights into the fold, and now we're going to do the routing moves also, and remove also the broken French units from, as I said, shooting and hand-to-hand combat. This is a big success for the English, because it was looking really bad with all these very heavy units, powerful units coming from the French Franco Scottish right flank. And we'll see now how the English will deal with the Schultron. That's a very big unit, as you can see, but it's a very slow unit. And the English longbowmen and the mounted knights, although they are bodied and heavy, they're much faster. So we're going to do a mix of shooting now before the next initiative phase. The English will shoot at probably the longbowman, the crossbowman. This is the arc of fire, 90 degrees, so they are within the arc of fire. And let's see if they are in range and what range they are. I'm trying to be, yes, I moved outside the close range, so I will be less affected by the crossbowman. So we roll initiative again after quite successful shooting from the English, and this initiative is for the English, who now will probably have to see what they're going to do on their left flank with the mounted knights and the longbowmen. I'm going to probably move the longbowman on the hill and try to shoot the children's as much as I can. The French units continue to flee. I tried to rally them before, but I didn't manage, because it's difficult to rally troops. You get a +2 modifier, and then all the other negative modifiers that the troops have already being discouraged. They get another -1, so it's quite difficult to roll unless the commander is in close range and you can use the general's cohesion. And now I'm trying to move and support my men-at-arms. I'm not fighting, I'm not charging, but I'm moving so I can create a line of battle with my men-at-arms, the longbowmen. I'm moving them a bit further forwards. As I said to you, I'm going to move the longbows close to the hill and then see from there what I'm going to do. Probably it's a good opportunity now for me to pin the Schultrons with the mounted knights, although it's very dangerous, mounted knights fighting Schultrons, but my longbows are free and maybe I cannot flank. Again, very bad decision, but I was not expecting the French knights to break like that. But now the Schultrons are isolated, they're slow, and they have 2 opponents, both of them much faster than the Schultrons, who it's really, there's no other point of me doing anything else than trying to move them and trying to attack the mounted knights. There's no point in turning them or doing anything else. They will be caught in the back and they will be destroyed. So a problem for the Scottish and the right flank. Now we'll continue with hand-to-hand combat. The armies are locked in hand-to-hand combat. As I said to you, you need a 4, 5, and a 6 to hit, and a 4, 5, and a 6 to defend, because both units have men-at-arms in the front with partial plate armor and shield. And I decided not to give double-handed weapons to the English because I wanted them to carve his shields and have a better defense. With a double-handed weapon, you can attack and give a +2 to the defense value of your opponent, so quite powerful attack. But if you get hit, you don't have a shield, so your defense die should be 5 or 6. So 5 or 6 is a quite difficult dice than 4, 5, and a 6. So we have quite a few hits here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. After the hand-to-hand combat, we're rolling for commanders and see if they died. But currently, with the rolls I did, no commander died yet. All of them stayed. But you see the very good defense. Now, after hand-to-hand combat, this children is pushed back by the English, getting discouraged. This is the very good thing with these rules. The English now won. Things are shifting back and forth depending on your die roll, of course, and the line of battle. The line of battle shifts every time because some units are pushed, some units are not pushed. So the English pushed back the Chilterns. They were locked before, but now they're pushed back. The Longbow can follow because they are supporting. So I'm moving them. I don't want to fight with my longbows. They're not exactly in front. And we have to see now what's going to happen here with the Earl of Warwick's command fighting the other children. You see again how the Scottish become discouraged, obviously. So let's see here what's going to happen. The children are moving, and they're moving towards the mounted knights. Now, what's my problem and why I cannot fall back with the mounted knights? In the position I am, behind me exactly are the marshes. So if I get into the marshes, I will be in big trouble. I will be even slower, and maybe the children can catch me. But here, in this position I am now, I think the longbowmen are in a very good position to outflank the children's. Now moving the longbowmen to create a line of battle with the men-at-arms of Warwick, because I'm expecting the charge from the mounted knights of Bernard de Gosselin. You see I moved back the crossbow so they can create an open space. Now compulsory moves. I have to roll again. I didn't manage to rally any units, so I have to roll again for the French men-at-arms who are fleeing the battlefield. I think I have one more roll to save them. Otherwise, I think they're out of the game. That means 4 army breaking points. The French will be down. Now we continue with a lot of die rolling, hand-to-hand combat. It is very, very, very the center. You see, usually in sword point, when you have strong units in the center, you basically lose for your flanks. You need to protect your flanks a lot, and the English didn't have good flanks, and still they don't have good flanks. Now the Chilterns pushed back the English, and they will discourage them, but now that's the most difficult situation. We have a charge from the shock cavalry, and there's a lot of bonuses. The longbowmen are not behind stakes. You see I pushed back my crossbowmen so they can open space. Here there's no other option for me but to attack the Chilterns, and that would give me a great opportunity if they are locked in melee and they don't destroy the mounted knights. It would be a very good opportunity for me to outflank them with my longbowmen. The longbowmen are ready, they're fast, they're not abiding by the proximity rule, and I have the feeling that I'm going to be able to create problems with the children. If I remove the children, I think there's a great opportunity, and my right flank holds, Warwick holds this charge of the mounted. On the other flank, the English look like they turned the tide. A little earlier, the things were looking really bad for the English before this successful shooting of the longbows and this flank attack of the English mounted knights. But now with the 2 units breaking, things are looking quite good for the English. And as long as we keep holding the center, and things look that the English who are holding the shelter are holding the Chilterns, I believe that there is still a good chance for the English. But as I said again, we need to be very careful what's going to happen on our right flank, on the French left, where the French are going to attack with the mounted knights now, where they open the space. The French unit of man-at-arms broke and left the battlefield, but the second rallied because Bernard de Gosselin came. He's the general of the French, and they used his morale and they rallied. Now the initiative is with the French and the Franco Scottish, and the Franco Scottish are charging. They have no other choice. They're charging the mounted knights. This will be a devastating charge, but again, they will give me the opportunity to outflank them and try to attack them, because you do the charges and then you do the remaining moves and then the charges. So declare charges, you do the remaining moves, and then you do the melee. So it looks like the longbowman will be able to attack the pinned childrens from the mounted knights. Salisbury strategy, I think we in the English use their speed in comparison to their opponents in order to take advantage of their left flank. Now the mounted knights charged and the crossbowmen moved to support. Things are looking really dangerous for the English right flank, and now this is a matter of who will break first. The center, where the Black Prince and the kings are, and the king and Edward III against Douglas and against David II, they are equal in power. There's nothing pushing back and forth. But now the second French unit is coming that rallied, and I don't know, they probably will attack the longbowmen. So it's a matter of time now. It's speed. If the longbowmen now will have to charge in the next round, they will charge the schildrons. The schildrons being charged in the flanks have to take a cohesion test to see if they pass or fail. They don't have a commander close to them, so they cannot use for a cohesion test any bonuses or the commander's cohesion value. They're outside command range. So this is critical. Again here, obviously the shock cavalry with a lot of bonuses against longbowmen who are not behind stakes. It's probably 190% sure, unless something out of the ordinary happens, that the longbowman will break, and then you will have a unit of crossbowmen and longbowmen in the flanks of the English army. So here is the critical role. My mounted knights are in trouble. The schildrons are a very strong unit, and probably I should have. Probably I will disengage them if the longbowmen don't manage to break them with a charge. I will probably disengage my mounted knights. I won't find a second round of melee, and also obviously my longbowmen are exposed to the rallied French men-at-arms who are going to come back and charge in their flanks. Here I charged the English longbowmen. The shock cavalry is very powerful, and obviously I'm moving the French men-at-arms quickly against the English longbows in order to try to prevent them from charging, or at least charging them after they charge the Scottish in the flanks. I disengaged after the first round of melee. I disengaged with my mounted knights. Mounted knights can disengage without cohesion test. If we manage to open the left flank, the mounted knights will be very, very important. So let's see if the schildrons will pass the cohesion test, and they fail. They fail because I couldn't re-roll, I couldn't use a commander's cohesion, and they rolled above their cohesion value and they broke. Now here we are, initiative again. It's won by the Franco Scottish. You see now the havoc that's happening in the center. Everybody's fighting everybody. The crossbowmen are moving to try to flank the English. Warwick, Edward III, David II, Douglas, everybody's fighting. The center is hard fought. In the center we have a very hard fought battle. There is nobody's giving ground, but obviously the longbowmen will break now. They were charged by the mounted knights. The bases were removed, but now they were outflanked also by the French crossbowmen, and they break. And that is a really, really difficult situation for the English on the right flank. They managed to save their left flank, but on the right flank, Warwick is in trouble. Still, the center is doing well in both sides, but this devastating shock cavalry attack really created big problems to the English. So the English are pushed back. The French, the Scottish won this hand-to-hand combat. You see, as you can see, in melee, things are happening. Every phase is back and forth. So this time the Scottish pushed back the English back because the center unit of the Black Prince divided the result by 3 because it was supported in their both flanks. It was not moved, so the Scottish cannot follow up. In this flank now, you see in this flank the English pushed back the Scottish. So again, the English will follow up. You see immediately how things change. You can see the Earl of Oxford here fighting, and you see how things change totally with different results of hand-to-hand combat. Now, how the English pushed back the Scottish, and how the situation changed. Now we have the longman who broke and the exposed right flank of the English, while the center, though, is still fighting hard against the Scots. And now the Chilterns are ready to get out of the battlefield. Bernard Ling came there to try to rally them, but he cannot. And there is a great opportunity for the English to shoot the discouraged already unit of the remaining French men-at-arms. One base is already removed, and they have to take a cohesion test. And there's another shooting, and a very successful shooting, because now if they remove a base, that means that the French will become unformed. That means that their width will be less than the accepted, so they have 2 bases only, and that means that they become unformed. And an unformed unit can do nothing, just stay there, and if it's charged, and it will be charged by the longbowman, it breaks automatically. So basically, the left flank of the English, the right flank of the French was destroyed. Now we have initiative again. The English won the initiative, and obviously they're going to charge the unformed troops that are removed from the battlefield, and obviously the English will move and charge the Scottish in the flanks. Things are looking very bad for the French now. The right flank of the English is the right flank of the Franco-Scottish is totally annihilated. Already 3 bases, three units are removed. That means 6 army breaking points, so the English reach 10. If they lose another 2, they reach their army breaking point of an 8. The mounted knights of the French charged the personal unit of men-at-arms of the Earl of Warwick, but I think it's a bit too little too late. The heavy infantry is still intact, the English heavy infantry and foot knights. They haven't lost the base, so I don't think they will lose that easily, especially in the second round of melee, where the French lose the impetus. So here again, the English charged, the English longbowmen charged from the flank. They discouraged the Scottish Chilterns. They didn't break, they passed the cohesion test, but I think the battle now is over, because now we're going to have the rare charge of a shock cavalry. For sure, there will be a break, and the Franco-Scottish will fall to 8 and probably more, because they are flanked already. Douglas's unit is flanked already. So this is the battle, guys. I think it was a very interesting battle. I hope you enjoyed it. At the beginning, at the flanks, looked really desperate for the English, both flanks, but very good shooting, and the mobility of the English mounted knights, and the weakness of the Chiltern being very slow. Obviously, it's a good lesson. Units like this should not be working isolated, especially in a rule set like SWORDPOINT. They will become a target, and they will be totally destroyed. So it was a good battle. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. There is no point in continuing. You see the flank wave that is coming from the English left, and I think in the next round all will be over, and we'll have cumulative breaks, and we'll have to roll for break tests for the remaining units fighting, and I don't think that the French will survive. Already they lost 3 units, and they have another unit only to reach the breaking point. I hope you enjoyed it. In the next battle report, when I go home for Christmas, will be of another rule set. And until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the miniatures. I hope you enjoyed the battle. And bye-bye.